Any positive vibes? Thank you. Okay, so I'll just start sharing my screen and we'll go from there. Okay, so please confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, we can
Okay.
see it.
All right, perfect. Okay. Kadisha says she's a Tableau spy. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. So guys,
Yes,
once
sir.
again, can you please mute yourself? I don't know who is not mute there. Everyone please mute yourself. Perfect. Okay, so once again, my name is Idris Alugo, and I'm really excited to have this opportunity to do this walkthrough of Power BI, hosted by All About Data community. I believe many of us here are already on the channel. If not, please join via the Discord link. I'll probably share that at the end of the session today. So this is all about Power BI, and it's going to be very interactive, and I expect that we have beginners here, those that probably I've never heard about Power BI. I expect them to be in this class. Those that have probably started something but not much, I also expect them to be here. And even those with some experience as well, I expect everyone to be here. We're going to learn together, we're going to grow together. So it's not going to be like a one-man team, so everyone is going to develop at the end of it all. So our outline for this course, or for this series, so we have an introduction to Power BI, which is what we are going to be doing today, Power BI desktop, and subsequent classes will be looking at how to connect to data, how to shape data, what's also known as ETL processes, that's extraction, transformation, and loading. We also have data modeling. We have DAX functions, we're covering that as well. We'll also be covering data visualization. And by the time we are done with all of these things, it should lead us to the completion of a project. We're going to pick one project that we're going to work on as we go. So it's really going to be interesting, and I'm so excited. What are the expectations? So this series is actually focused on Power BI desktop only. Just Power BI desktop. We'll not be looking at Power BI service. If you need to know more about the difference, you can always check that, but let me just give you a quick one. Power BI desktop is more of PC based. I mean, you can have it installed on your machine, but Power BI service is more of a cloud-based version of Power BI. So you can have it. It's mostly used for sharing, because it can be hosted on the cloud and all of that. So we'll just be covering Power BI desktop, but of course, these things that you learn here can also be applied to Power BI service. You probably just need to add more things to it just to complement the things that are not here but are there. So we'll also be looking at fundamentals. Like I said earlier, we'll be touching advanced features like M-code, custom visuals, and advanced DAX. But of course, we'll be doing DAX, but not advanced ones, just be covering some time intelligence functions, date functions, and all of that. That would assist us in doing the project that we are going to work on. So, and also, at the end of this series, we are expected to have completed a complete end-to-end reporting process, which includes data analysis, data modeling, and also visualization. And also, in case you are watching a recording later, probably not tomorrow, probably in a week's time, you might see something different on your screen that might, because Power BI updates really, really often. Like, there are a lot of updates coming on. So I might demonstrate something now, and by next week it's moved from where it is to another place, or probably looking different. That is it for you. So it updates really frequently, but everything is still going to be there. So it's just important to have the foundational knowledge, and you'll be good to go. Then it's also worth noting that Power BI desktop is not compatible with Mac. Someone was asking this in the channel. So at the time of recording this class, it's not compatible with Mac. It's only enabled on PC. Okay, so what are the course materials? The course materials for this will be using I'll be sharing a link now, a Google Drive link that hosts the data that we'll be using. So I'll post the link now on on the chat. I'll be posting soon. Just give me a couple of seconds. But then I have to give shout out to Maven Analytics for providing this data. Not just this particular one, there's numerous data that you can find on their data playground. So I really do recommend that if you want to grow your, not just Power BI alone, maybe even your SQL, you want to test your Excel skills and all of that, you can find data on their data playground. So just go to Maven Analytics. It's free, absolutely free. You don't even need to create, you need to create an account. No, I don't think you need to create an account. Maybe or maybe not, I'm not sure, but I'm not sure. But yeah, you can always find lots of data on their data playground. So we'll be going to the first outline, which is introduction to Power BI. So what is Power BI? I'm sure many of us have been hearing of Power BI. Power BI is actually a data visualization tool owned by Microsoft, and it's primarily focused on business intelligence. So it's part of the Microsoft Power Platform alongside Power Apps, Power Automate, and what have you. So you can find more information on powerbi.com, powerbi.microsoft.com. So to just check more on that. So why Power BI? So we've been hearing of Power BI. Someone was saying they are learning Tableau and they are looking to see why they are looking to see what Power BI is. So why Power BI? Well, one of the things that make Power BI so unique is it can, or don't let me say unique, or let me just say powerful, because not only it can do it, Tableau can also do it. So it connects to, it can connect, transform, and analyze millions of rows of data. You can also define complex calculations using data analysis expressions, which is known as DAX. Then Power BI is a leading industry, is industry leader among BI platforms alongside Tableau, ClickSense, and all of this. Then you can also build relational models from on your data from different sources. Some of these things you probably don't understand them yet, especially if you're having a very fresh start to your data career. It's not a problem. You will definitely understand these things as we go along. But of course, if you have experience with data, probably on SQL and all of that, when I talk about model, you probably know what I'm talking about. Then it can be used to create interactive visualizations and dashboard. So one common question or one common debate is the difference between Power BI and Excel. I mean, if you use Excel before, you probably see that some of these things that I highlighted here can be done also on Excel. You can create dashboards on Excel. You can connect to, so that's going to be the first assignment. I'm not going to tell you, I don't have an answer. So your first assignment is going to be that you find out the difference between Excel and Power BI. The difference is similarities and just your thought. Just try to read on them. This is a very common question in interviews, trust me. So it's just a way of making you get familiar with these tools and not to get confused as to this. So I can still tell you the answer probably in the next class, but I want you to do the assignment on your own. Try and check out the difference between Excel and Power BI. Their similarities, their differences, how best you can use them. Can you use them together? If yes, how best can you use them and all of this? So if you want to submit that assignment, all you need to do, you are going to post it on the Discord, right? You're going to share your answers on the Discord. You can tag me on Discord. Also, this is optional. You can also post it on Twitter. So you post it on Twitter, your answers, you can just give us, if you have charts to back up your explanations and diagrams and all of that, no problem. So just post it on Twitter, tag me. You can tag me. My name is, I will also show you that before we end the class, my name on Twitter. You can also tag All About Data community. So the reason why I'm asking you to do this is because it's not because I just want you to tag me. No, it's not that. But one of those things that we find common, or let me say one of those things that kind of give you that triggers a good career in data analytics, especially in this current time that we find ourselves, is the ability to display your work, to interact with the community online and all of that. So I'm just building you up. So I know some of us probably don't even use our Twitter for stuff like this. So, and I'm just trying to encourage us, and that's why I'm recommending this. Trust me, one of the ways I got better in my data career is the fact that I posted. I was posting and people were asking me questions. People were looking forward to my post, and it kind of, at a time where I was supposed to feel down, I got this extra motivation that people were actually expecting something from me. So I'm definitely not going to give up right now. So this is my own experience, and I feel maybe one or two people can also have that kind of, and that's why I'm recommending this type of assignment. It's okay if you don't want to do, it's optional, but I encourage you to do it. Yeah. You want to ask question?
My son is here. What shall follow?
Please. Okay, please mute yourself.
I have a question.
All right, please go ahead.
What's your Twitter again?
Okay. My Twitter is I think this is it. Alugo Idris, you can find it bottom right. So this is it. So that's the assignment. I'll actually be going to the assignment too, so I'll be mentioning it again. So that's that. So now, have I answered the question? I guess, is there any other person with question?
Yes, you answered my question.
Yeah, thank you. Any other person with question before we go to installing Power BI now? No, okay, perfect. So now we're going to get started with Power BI. No one has it on their PC installed from Microsoft. No, so you have to install it. Of course, if you have it installed before this class, it's not a problem. You don't need to go through this step. You can just update it just to be on the same page, because I have mine updated probably yesterday or some days ago, so I believe it's well updated. So if you don't have it, kindly go to this on your browser. Just open your browser. Of course, on your PC, you cannot have it on your phone. I'm just saying. So we go to powerbi.microsoft.com. So I would also be demonstrating it here, so we can powerbi.microsoft.com. powerbi.microsoft.com. And when you click it, you should have something like this. Please let me know if you're on the same page. Let me just copy the link again and share on the chat. So in case I just shared the link on the chat. All right, I believe everyone is here now. So we have start free. We are not starting free. This is more like you want a free plan of the Power BI service, and it's going to expire. So we're not working on service. We want to work on Power BI desktop. So all you just have to do is scroll down till you find download. You'll find something like this: download Power BI desktop. So just click on it. Download free, not start free. Start free is like starting Power BI service plan. So no, we want desktop. So just click on download. And by the time you do that, you should have your store open. Mine is opening at this other end. So let me bring it over. So you should have your Microsoft store open. And then you should find something like install. Mine is showing open because, of course, I have Power BI installed. So yours should show download or open, I beg your pardon, download or install. So then click on it, then it's going to start running. So please let me know when you've done that, or if you have any issues, you can kindly unmute yourself and ask your questions. So that's that. Then in the meantime, I will just quickly share the links to the files that we'll be using. So I'm just going to do that here. Please let me know when you're done. Just if you are downloading Power BI for the first time, as soon as you are done installing, following those steps I just showed you, please say done on chat. Just type done. But if you have Power BI before now, kindly just send a message on the chat now that just say one, just write one. Then I know that you have Power BI installed before now, so I can know the number of people we are waiting for. Perfect. One person just sent one, meaning she has it before. Another person. Okay, perfect. That's great. So please, if you have any issues with the installation, let me know. Okay. Please, if you have any question now, perhaps based on what we've discussed so far, let me kindly ask your questions so we can treat that while we wait for those installing Power BI. Any question, guys? Okay. Okay, one. We have. Okay.
I just installed it, but I'm getting something like future versions of this application will require core components to be updated. Is that something that has to do with my computer or?
Did you finish the installation?
Yeah, I downloaded it. I opened and.
You are getting an error now, right?
Not really an error. It's just an amber banner at the top of the page saying that.
Okay. Can you share your screen? I'll just allow you share your screen so we can just check it quickly. You should be able to share your screen. Kindly just share screen so we can see what's going on.
Do you see that?
This is what is okay. Future versions of application will require a core component. Don't worry, it's fine. Just close it. It's not a problem.
All right.
Just close both. This one as well. Just close everything. Yeah, perfect. So you can stop sharing us. I share back. So any other person? Any other person trying to install?
I'm so sorry about this.
Yes, I'm having a problem. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. It's fine.
All right. I tried installing that. It's insisting that I should open a Microsoft email account before I can be able to download it. It's giving me an error message.
Then you must have clicked start free. It should be download free.
Oh, okay. Let me try again.
Please,
Thank
you. Start free will take you. Will request for Microsoft login, a work email or school email. So we just need the Power BI desktop. That one is not licensed, so we can get it anytime. So it should be download free. This one, this particular one, if you're on this page. Okay. So I'm going to share the link to the folder now. Let me just copy it. So please let me know as soon as you have access to the data. I just dropped it on the chat. Please, it's a Google Drive. Kindly click on it and download that folder. When you download it, please send one again on the chat so I know that we are ready to go. Then for the mom that complained now, have you been able to get around it?
No, it's still saying the same thing.
Okay, can I stop share and you share your screen?
I'm watching Zoom from my phone, but I'm working on the system.
Okay. Are you on the page that I showed you earlier? This page? Are you on this page?
Yes, I chose the second button. That place where your mouse, yes, is pointing at. And it brought Microsoft Store opened, and I got Power BI Desktop. Then I downloaded, I clicked on download. I got an error message.
What's it saying?
Let me click on let me click. Windows update is disabled.
Okay, I think that's with more of your machine.
System.
Okay. Not with the Power BI, but I would really love you follow us. So I don't know if you can update your system. Can you try to update your system?
That's what I will do right now. I'm doing it right away.
So just do it. You can still follow the class. It's not a problem.
I'm following the class.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So guys, do you have access to that file now? Have you clicked on that Google Drive? Anyone?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Please just click on it. It should take you to the folder.
Yeah, I have access to it.
Okay, perfect. So just download it, everything. Don't download one by one. That would not be efficient. So just download the whole Adventure Works All About Data folder. Just click on let me bring this over here. So when you click on that link, you should probably come to a place like this. So instead of downloading one after the other, so just come somewhere here and click on download. So it's going to download the whole folder as a zip file. Okay, it's going to download as a zip file. Please let me know when it's done. Please type 1 on the chat. Perfect. We have 1. Okay. So after downloading, you need to extract that zip file using, you can use 7-zip, just extract all. You can extract into, you can extract into a new folder, or you just you probably know your way around extracting files. I guess that shouldn't be a problem. But if you don't know, just let me know, then I can always assist you. Please mute your mic, please. All right, so we have about 5 ones. So I guess 5 people are done downloading the file. Okay, so I think now we can go over to Power BI to start some demonstrations. So if you are stuck in any way, please call my attention. And I mean, for the previous things that we had to do, downloading Power BI and also downloading the files. If you are stuck in any way, just call my attention and I would simply come back to it. So just open your Power BI and you should have something like this, guys. So I guess we are all on the same page, right? Okay, I want to believe so. So if you open your Power BI, you should have something exactly like this. So this is Power BI desktop. So really, really amazing tool for data processes, analysis, visualization, modeling, and what have you. So this interface, or this ribbon, probably looks familiar from, of course, the Microsoft chain of products. So you probably see on home, insert, modeling, and all of you. So that we will just have a quick walkthrough. What I'm going to do in this series, to be very honest, I wouldn't give you things that you will probably not use in maybe in maybe 10 months. So I only give you stuff that will be like you get to use every day. Anytime you have to do anything on Power BI, these are things that you get to use. So, but of course, your learning shouldn't stop there. You should still go ahead and learn more stuff about it. But I'll make sure I give you things that I do on a regular basis, and I'm sure others do on a regular basis. So that's that. So on the home, let's just take a quick walkthrough. So on the home page, you have Get Data. So this is we talked about Power BI being able to connect to several sources. So just as you can see here, we have hundreds of sources that you can connect to on Power BI. So you can connect to your Excel file, you can connect to a CSV file, you can connect to a folder, you can connect to a PDF, you can connect to an SQL server base, any type of database here. You can connect, you can connect to Power platforms, on Azure platforms, and what have you, a lot of them. But of course, we cannot cover all of this. So personally, I've not used more than CSV, folder, Excel, and SQL server. So others are just, probably use case when you go deep into the whole thing, and you can always get to use that. So that's about getting data. Then this gives you a direct access to importing Excel workbook. It's still the same as what you are going to get here. So you just have it here. I wouldn't know why they added it here. Well, then if you want to connect to a Power BI dataset, this is created, datasets are created in Power BI service. And I said this course is actually not in the scope of Power BI service. So, but this is where you connect to dataset. This is where you connect to SQL server. Now, if you need to add your data by manually inputting it. You can do that here. By the time you click on this, you can manually input your data and all of that. So we are not doing that, just showing you around data vars, recent sources. These are the recent sources I have connected to. You probably, if you are downloading it today, you probably don't have anything here because you've not connected to any source. Then this is where you are able to transform your data. Don't worry, you get to see how we use all of these things. Then doing your visualization and all of that, you can add a new visual, you can add the text box and all of this. Then this is not ticked now, probably because we don't have the data here. Maybe, I want to believe so. So you have new measure and all of this will cover at the later stage of the course. Then in the insert tab, you have different things, just like in Microsoft Word, for instance. You can insert text box, you can insert shapes, you can insert images, you can bring in powers, paginated report, smart narrative, all of these things. Just take it like that, inserting. Then modeling, so you can create a new table. Some of these things are context menu. I mean, they are not, you cannot access them now because something needs to happen before they can open. So they are called contextual menu. So yeah, probably when we load in more data, you'll be able to see some of these things in use. So then you have this view tab. This is where you probably have your theme. You can change your theme. I'm not sure this, okay, you can see it actually took effect. I don't really like it. Let me take it back. So you have page view if you want to fit to page and all of these things. So pretty much stuff we've seen in Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word, for instance. Then of course, help. So one of the things that makes Power BI really great is the community. The community is really large and it's very, very helpful. So I really do recommend the Power BI community. If you have questions, you can always ask. And of course, Google is your friend, which is #1 friend for developers and analysts. So you can always go on Google. You are likely to be taken to a community where that particular problem or question has been asked. Then you can follow some blogs, then some YouTube channels like Guy in a Cube and all of that. YouTube, these guys are just there for you. So trust me, there's no problem you want to encounter, just like in every other tool you might use, that you won't find the answers on these resources, YouTube, Google, and all of that. So yeah, primarily these are like the menu. Then in Power BI, we have 3 types of views. We call them views. We have the model view. This is where we are. This is the model view. If I bring, I beg your pardon, report view. So if I bring my mouse now, look at my mouse. If I take it to this place, you can see this is the report view. So it means this is where we have our report. We don't have anything here, so that's why it's like this. Then secondly, if I click on the next one, this is the data view, right? Or table view. This is where you have your data. By the time we have our data here, you'll be having something different. Then this is the model view. So this is where you have your models. That's the relationship between different tables. Yeah, if you've not heard of models before, don't worry. We are going to cover everything in this course. So just one step at a time. So literally those are like the 3 views that we have. So I would just go straight. I wouldn't want to bore you with so many theories here because you're still going to get used to them later on. So, but I need to state one thing about Power BI before you start working. This is a recommended step. There are some settings that you should do before you start working on Power BI, and I will tell you why you need to do them. So how do I make those settings? So kindly click on File. Please do that now. Click on File and go to Options and Settings. Go to Options and Settings and click on Options. You should have something like this. You should have data load. You should have regional settings. You should have data load and all of that. So here, click on data load. That's under current file. Click on data load. So now you will find 2 things here that are marked. You can find import relationships from data sources on first load. It should be checked. So uncheck it. Then also auto dictate new relationships after data is loaded. Also uncheck that as well. So I wouldn't do much explanation on this because if I do, for those that are new to this whole process, you might not understand. But let me just mention that what we are just trying to do here is in Power BI, when you load your data or when you load tables, different tables, Power BI tries to automatically model them together. Okay, so and we don't want that because Of course, it might be right in some, but definitely not all of them. So we want to do the modeling all by ourselves. So that's why we need to turn this off. By the time we are doing data modeling, you will understand this very, very well. But this is a recommended settings that you need to do anytime you open your Power BI. The other one is regional settings. So regional settings, literally, this is just from the word region. So the region that is here will be used to interpret your numbers, your dates, your time in the file you are bringing in. So let me create a scenario. For instance, I have an Excel file or a data that was created in Saudi Arabia, for instance. Saudi Arabia uses right to left writing style, right? And here I am going to be working with, maybe if my report, my settings here is in UK or US, for instance, that uses left to right. So by the time I'm bringing that data without changing all of these settings, there will be problem, definitely, probably in the formulas or even in the way the data is structured and all of that. So that's why it's important to have this setting. So for this particular data set that we'll be using, that I sent to you, actually using the US format, which is month, day, year for the date, which uses comma as the, CSV, comma separated values, or some can use colon and all of that. And it uses the regular dollar sign for currency and all of that. So just change that to United States. So I think you can click OK, and that is that. So those are the settings that I actually wanted to show you. Please try to do them anytime you want to start your Power BI. Okay. So guys, any question at this point before we continue? If you have any question, please ask. Please mute yourself. You don't want to ask any question. Please mute yourself. Okay, perfect. So any question at this point? No. Okay, so we will just go straight to loading our data. Okay, so we already have our data installed on our PC. I sent you this file, and you should have something like this, right? So I'll go ahead. Now, if you look at this file, they are not Excel files. They are CSV files. Okay, so if you open, probably check the properties, you can see that they are CSV files, which is comma separated value. So because Excel is the default opener or default application for CSV files, that's why you can see Excel logo. So they are actually not Excel files. So now, for instance, if I go to get data and I click on Excel and I go to that file, you can see I have nothing here because there's no Excel file. So I just wanted to point your attention to that. So they're actually CSV files. So click on get data and select text or CSV. Text or CSV. So click on it, and then you can go back to that folder where you have that folder, and you can see everything that we have in our folder is here because they are CSV, of course. So I want us to start with the customer's data. Okay, so just click on it. You can only select one at a time, so you cannot select more than one. So just click on it, and you should have this navigation. I'm going to wait for us to do that. Okay, please, if you are done with this step, just type 1 on the chat, please. Perfect. Okay, perfect. 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 Okay. Someone asked to resend the link to the chat, to the files. Perfect. Thanks, guys. I can see your ones. The link to the file has been sent again for the person who asked. That's Liz Alex. So I've sent it again. Okay, guys. So now we have this navigation thing. So here this is where we have the sample of what is in that data. Okay, so these are just simple stuffs that you have here, like this is saying, okay, this is the file origin, this is the comma delimiter. This is what I was talking about. Some countries use space, some countries use semicolon, but I'm not here to talk about delimiter, so it's definitely default comma in this case. Then this is based on the first 200. You can also change this to based on the entire data set and all of that. So literally what we've done is what we can call extraction. Okay, so we've basically connected to a source data right? Which in this case is a flat file, a CSV file. So we are trying to extract. If you are probably bringing it up from SQL, it's still going to be the same thing. Just connect to the SQL server, then you are definitely going to have a navigation like this, okay? That gives you option to either load or transform. Don't forget, in our ETL that I mentioned in this place, what we're going to cover, beg your pardon. So ETL. So I'm sure some of us have seen ETL before. If you've not, it's not a problem. So the ES stands for extraction. That's what we've done. We're trying to extract the data from the source. Now we can, in this case, Power BI is giving us option. You can see it's giving us option to load or transform. Of course, you don't want to load your data straight away. In fact, 99% of the time, you would want to transform your data. Why? Because you need to check if it is what you are expecting. You need to probably perform some transformation and all of that. So that's why the transformation should come before the loading, which is the ETL process. So now you're going to click on transform data. So if you probably have an old, I don't expect anyone to have that by now anyways, but if you have an old Power BI, you should probably have edit instead of transform data. It used to be edit data. So, but now it's transform data. So by the time you do that, you have something like this. Now, guys, this place is what we know as Power Query. Okay, so what is Power Query? Power Query is simply where, literally, let me just give you a simple definition. It is where you can transform your data. That's all. No much grammar. This is where you can transform your data on Power BI. Okay, it is the only place you can transform your data. By transformation, I mean this is where you can maybe format your text, format your numbers, format your dates, do some other stuff that, don't worry, you probably get. I'm saying this for those that don't even have any data experience at all. But for some of us, I believe we probably know when we say transformation. Okay, so this is Power Query. We also have it in Excel. If you are familiar with Power Pivot in Excel, they are built on the same engine, exactly the same thing. So if you have experience with Power Pivot in Excel, definitely you are good to go. There's no problem. So let's just take a quick walkthrough on Power Query. So here you have the menu. Again, this is a very familiar menu with Microsoft chain of products. So you have the home. So in the home, here you can also connect to sources here. So the trick here is that now let's assume I want to connect another table, now another file. Maybe instead of customer, I want to connect maybe product and all of that. Instead of me closing this Power Query and going back to load it again and come back here, I can simply just click on new sources and load my file once. So I can just do everything once instead of closing it. I used to do that mistake when I started the whole thing. I would close this Power Query after I transform this particular table. Then I will go back and load it again and click on load, come back here again. So you can imagine how inefficient that definitely is. So until I realized that I could do that here. So let's say, for instance, we've brought in customers now. We want to bring in calendar as well. So I can click on new source, click on text file, which is exactly text or CSV, which is exactly what we know that these files are. Then I can click on my calendar. So instead of going to that process, you can see I can just click on OK. Then it's going to add it here because we are still in Power Query, so it's not taking us to any strange place. So now I have the two queries here, or tables, depending on how you want to do it. So for those of us that are familiar with Tableau, because I know we have Tableau fans in the house. So I think this is similar to Tableau Prep, if I'm not mistaken, where you can perform transformation and all of that. So now we have the two tables. Some call them tables, some call them queries. You don't have business with that. Just know that this is the data that you are dealing with. So naming is one thing that get people go gaga and all of that. Don't get yourself plugged into names. Just know that this is what this is and you are good to go. So now let me just continue with these customers that we have. So you can see this is all the data that we have in our customers. So if you actually open this file in Excel, these customers, let me bring it over here. This particular customers, if I open it in Excel, I'll definitely have the same thing. So you can see just exactly what we have in there. So there's no difference. Everything's the way they should be. Okay. Okay. So I'll just close that. All right, guys. So going back to query, Power Query. So now, one thing I usually recommend you do is to rename. This is where you can name your query. Okay, so instead of having adventure works, customer adventures, I can just rename it as just customers. Let me just call it customers. So this is a place you can do that if you need to rename. Now, now in Power Query, there is no Control Z. In fact, the first time I heard it, I was like, that's weird. There's actually no Microsoft product that doesn't have Control Z. So there's no Control Z here. So that means if I perform an operation, say for instance, this is just an instance. I'm not done. Okay, I've not shown you anything, but I just want to say for instance. So for instance, I want to change this date now to time. It's just an instance. Okay. Okay. So now you can see oh my God. I think don't let me miss that. Okay, let me look for something else. Okay, let me say this first name now. I want to change it to small letter, lowercase. Okay, so now you can see everything here is lowercase, right? So I want to now go back. I want to revert that step. So you can come to this session where you have applied steps. So instead of Control Z, the alternative is to, if you check beside of all of this, you see a cross, like two swords, like forming this sign. So once I click on it, it deletes that step. And you can see that my first name is what we have. So that's the way you can Control Z in Power BI. So, and the reason is it's kind of creates applied. Don't worry, when we go further, you would understand why this is actually really nice. So that's how you Control Z in Power Query. So now let's talk about the menu, what we have in the menu. So the menu have a lot of information. Trust me, I've not even used maybe 60% of everything we have in the menu. So don't get, like a lot, no, don't worry. So you just need to pick the important ones. And as you go, depending on what you want to do at different times, then you pick up others. So for instance, look at my data now. I have my customer key, I have my prefix, I have my first name, I have my last name, I have my birth date, I have my marital status, I have gender, I have email address, I have annual income, and what have you. I have a lot of information there. So now let's say, for instance, I feel, oh, this table is too, we have so many columns, and I want to try and reduce or try and do some transformation. So I feel like, oh, these three things, instead of having prefix, first name, last name, I can have one single column that is going to be name. So instead of having Mr. John Yang in three different columns, we can have one column that will just say Mr. John Yang, right? That's pretty much something you can do in Excel using concatenate, right? In Excel, you just write concatenate function and join them together. So you can also do that as well. It's also a part of transformation. So how do I do that? So now I will go to transform. Mostly what you need to do most times here will be under transform or add column. So both of them are similar in the sense that they have similar, formatting style, but I will tell you the difference. You'll see soon. So now in this case, I want to join these three together, right? Like this, and this. So all I need to do is I click on this one, this one, this one, okay? And I go to merge columns. You can see that merge columns here, right? Guys, go under transform, click on, let me go back again. Click those columns, right? That you need to merge together. How do you select all of them? Click the first one, then press Control on your keyboard to select the second one. Still hold on that Control, then click the third one. So that way you can highlight three of them. Then you go to transform, okay? So when you go to transform, then you click on merge columns. So merging columns means you want to join all these columns together. So if I click on merge columns, now it's asking me, look at it, pretty impressive. It said, what is the separator? So how do you want to separate these columns? Of course, if you are joining Mr. John Yang together without separator, it means you should just join everything together. It will make sense, right? So you wouldn't want to do that. So let's assume I want space, right? So you can toggle on this separator and choose space. If you want, you can use comma if it sounds okay to you. If you want, you can use colon, whatever you want. But in this case, I just want to use space. You can try out others. Now, what will be the new column name? So this is optional. If you leave it like that, it will name it merge, but I want to rename it to say something like full name. So that will be the name of our new column. Now, guys, watch what is going to happen. Now, by the time I click on OK, you can see that all of those 3 columns are gone. I only have full name, right? So I only have full name. And please hold on a second. Okay, guys, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to tell. So now you can see that all other columns are gone, and we have just a single column, right? So what is in most cases you wouldn't want to do that. I mean, you don't want to, as much as you want to transform your data and all of that, you don't want to destroy things that you have, because let's say for instance you notice a mistake and you would like to go back. It's not a best practice to do this kind of formatting. So what would have been the best practice is to have a new column created. So this full name would have been created as a new column, and we will still have those other 3 columns somewhere. Okay, that's definitely would be the best practice. So why did this happen? So this happened because of the difference between transform and add column. That will take us to the difference between them. So like I said, both of them have similar formatting options. If you check under transform now, you have number colon, you have date and time colon. If you check under add colon, you also have the same thing, date and time, you have number, similar, this is so. But the difference is that any operation you perform under transform is going to overwrite your existing data, just as we saw. But anyone you perform under add colon is going to what? Create a new column for that particular operation. Do you get it, guys? So what we did was we did this operation under transform. So I'm going to delete that step of course, by now you should know that's the only way we can Control Z, right? So if I delete that step, you can see that we have our 3 columns back. So now I'm going to take the second step under add column. So I won't do it under transform anymore. I will do it under add column. So the same step. So I'm just going to click on this, hit your control on your keyboard, hit your control on this. Now, instead of transform, go to add column. So you still have that same option here, as you can see. Then I click on merge columns. So now it's still the same thing. I use space, and my name will be what? Full name. So by the time I click on OK, you see that what? It has been created. You can only find it at the last place. So you can see that what? A new column has been created, full name. Yet we still have our prefix, first name, and last name still there. So that literally explains the difference between these two. Many times you probably find yourself mixing them up, especially when you are probably in a rush. So it's a very good way of letting you know that you can run into that, but that is exactly how you avoid it. So transform, you use any operation you perform under transform, you'll be aggregated. So it's going to like overwrite what you have, and anyone you perform under add colon will create a new column. Okay, any question, guys? Okay, so you guys please try to do what we just did in case you did not do it, and when you are on the same page with me, I just give 1 minute for that. So just send a 1 on the chat, then we'll continue. Then of course, if you have any question, you can ask too. So if you're on the same page with me, just type a 1. And if you are not, quickly do that and try to understand what we just did. Okay, perfect. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, I opened this by a mistake. Okay. All right, so we'll continue now. Okay. All right, guys, thank you. So that's that. So it's just several operations that we can perform. Don't forget what all we are doing here is transformation. So another thing I would want us to do now is more string based. So many of us have probably done this in Excel. So this is more like extraction. Okay, so look at this email address, for instance. So let's assume I want to create a colon of username, and the username is what comes before the @ Okay, so in the case of john24@adventureworks.com, his username would actually be john24. Do you get it? So that's like you want to create a username for this person, Ruben35. It's at adventureworks.com. His username will definitely be what? Ruben35@adventureworks.com. Of course, in Excel you can easily do this by doing what we call split with delimiter, right? For those of us that are familiar with Excel, so you can do the same thing here also. So if I click on, of course, this kind of thing, I would definitely want to do it under @. Of course, you can do it under transform if you come to split, but I wouldn't want to overwrite what you have here, just as you have seen. So I still want our email address, but I just want a new colon of username. Okay, so I have to do that under @. So I select the colon, which is this email address, then I go under @. Okay, so under @, I can go to extract. Okay, so if I click on extract, what do you want to extract? So we have different options. So if you want to extract by length, let's say for instance, I want to extract the first 4 characters. You understand? This is just if I click on length, oh, I beg your pardon. Extraction of length is going to tell us the length. That's the count of the characters. The count of the characters here. That's what it's going to extract. So you can see this gave us this. So I don't want that. So we want to extract. First, if you want to extract the first characters, if you click on first character, it's going to ask you, okay, I want to extract the first 5 characters, for instance, or let me say the first, 5, because this John 24, it is 5 characters before the @ So if I click on 5, it's going to give me John 24 here, but for others, it's not going to be correct because they don't have the same length. So this is definitely not a way to go about it. So how do we go about it? So we can use text before delimiter. So because here we can see that what the uniformity here is that what all the username comes before @. Okay, so in this case, @ can be our delimiter. Delimiter is just like something that separates, right? That creates a barrier, like a barrier, like a barrier. So can click on extract. So it says text before delimiter. Okay, so if I click on text before delimiter, now it's going to ask me what is your delimiter. So in this case, my delimiter is what? @ So by the time I do that and I click on OK, you can see that in our new column that has been created, everything that we have, let me bring this side by side so you can see. So if I bring them side by side, I can see that everything that we have before @ is what has been created. Okay, so you can see down, that's how you create. So I can rename this. You can just double click on this column name and you can rename to user name. Okay, so that is that about delimiter. So you can quickly try that. Another thing I would want us to do, again, these are not like everything you have to do when you have your data. I'm just using it to explain something and just to get used to this Power Query. Okay, all right. So now let's say, for instance, this annual column now, for instance. So if you look at this annual column, this is something that you get to do, especially when you have a distribution, a scattered distribution of quantitative data. What do I mean? So now if you look at this annual income of this thing, you don't expect it to give you a like, it's going to be scattered because you have some people earning 10,000, you have some people earning 10,000, 100,000. So it's going to be, let me show you. So if I go to view now on my Power Query, if I click on view, we have 3 types of, this is a very common question in Microsoft certification. So they ask you the difference between column quantity, column quality, column profile, column distribution. So let me just use this to quickly mention it. So column quality, you can see this stuff that we have here. You can see this one says valid 100%, errors 0%, empty 0%. So this gives us information about the whole column. that is colon quality. So it tells you if everything is valid, if there is no error, or if there is nothing empty. Okay, so if you can, as you can see, for most of the data here, except this one. So this one now, you have empty, less than 1%, valid 99%. So definitely there is an empty value here, empty colon here. Okay, so this thing that you see here is a very good way of accessing your colon without having to scroll down, or irrespective of how lengthy it is, you can easily access your colon. So that is colon quality. If I uncheck it now, you see that that is gone. Okay, so that is colon quality. Now, if you want to check the distribution, right, the distribution. So if I click on this, for instance, and I click on colon distribution, you can see, look at the distribution of the data that you have here. Can you see it now? So you can see now that for this annual income now, it's very difficult. This is skewed, right? It is this left skewed or right skewed? I wouldn't know, either of them. Just pick one up there. Okay, so it is skewed, right? So you can see it's not uniformly distributed. So most times when you have numerical quantitative data like this, you definitely want to do what we call data discretization. And what does that mean? So you're going to create a range for your numerical data. So in what I mean is, for instance, let's check. So this is another option, column profiling. It gives you here instead of at the top here. So you have a more view of this thing now. So from our column profile, you can see that in the annual column, our minimum amount there is $10,000, and the maximum is 90,000. This gives us a quick, count everything. It gives us something very quick. So I can create a range, okay, such that anyone who earns between, this is an example, okay, so it's not like I have it somewhere. So anyone who earns between 10,000 and 40,000, for instance, anyone who earns between 10,000 and 40,000, we would call it, no, anyone who earns between 10,000 and 30,000, we will call it low. Okay, then anyone who earns between 30,000 and 65,000, okay, we call it average. Then anyone who earns above 65,000, we call it high. Okay, this is just an example. Okay, I just want to show you something here. So how do we go about that? So of course you can do this too in Excel using if statement, right? But how do you do it in Power BI? So I will just come over here, click on this column that I want to discretize. Now, I don't expect this to work, but I will do it like that so you can see. So now I will go to add column. I want to add it as a new column, okay? I don't want to overwrite this. So I go to my add column. Now that's where you do something we call conditional column, okay? Because it's like a condition. For some of us that have experience with programming, you know what we call conditional statement, right? So it's like you want to create a condition. So if, that's the same way you're going to do it in Excel. If this statement is valid, then do this, right? Else do this, something like that. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. So if this income is between 10,000 and 40,000, then say low. If it is, so that's conditional. So this is something you also find very handy when you are doing your analysis, not just in Power BI, even in Excel, even in Tableau, wherever. So this is how you do it. So you just click on conditional column. Okay. Now the new column we want to create, we can call it salary range. This of course can be anything. This is just my own name. So now how do we go about it? So if, right? So if, so the column name, so which column are we dealing with? This annual column. So if annual column, so that means if the value that is here, if it is less than, I want to change the range to 35,000 instead of 40. So if it is less than 35,000, so I'm going to toggle this and change it to less than. Now there's no less than here. Why? That was what I wanted to show you earlier, but I just needed to come so that you can understand better. Because what we have here now, it shows that this column is being seen as a non-numeric column. So because it doesn't have anything like less than or greater than, all you have is equals to contains and all of that, which is more like a text thing. When you say maybe apple, does it contain A? or does it contain B? So what is responsible for this? So I'll cancel this now. The reason is because if you check this colon, can you see, guys? This colon is formatted as text. Someone type something. Okay, sure. This colon is formatted as text. So how do I change it? So just click on this, right? You have all of these options. I think we have exactly similar thing in Excel, just that it's probably at the top, not somewhere by the side. So we want to change this to whole number or decimal as you deem fit or whatever, but it is not a number initially. So we need to change this to a number. So I can change it to fixed decimal. So when I change to fixed decimal, even by the position, you can see that it is now more right aligned, which shows that it is a number. Any number that, of course, it is left aligned, it shows that it is a text, even in Excel. Okay, so the same thing applies to this one, because this definitely should be a number. So I need to do this two once and for all. I can change it to whole number. So you can see it is now a number. Let me see if we have any other thing like that, so we can just do all of them once and for all. Okay, perfect. If we this for customer key, but we can still leave it like that for now. Okay, so now I can go back to my conditional colon. Okay, click on conditional colon, and I want to name it salary range. And if annual income is, now we have those options because it is now a text. You get it now? So if it is less than, what is the value? It is less than 35,000. This is 35 million. Then say low. Okay, but we have three conditions, right? So how do we add other conditions? So just click on add clause. If I click on add clause, then this is like you want to add another condition. Else, if that same annual income colon, now if it is less than, I want to use 70,000 just, or maybe 65. So if it is less than, again, 70,000, or let me use 65. Then this is average. Okay. Another condition is that what? If it is what? Greater than, we probably don't use less than, because sometimes when we update the data, we can have someone that have a salary that is greater than 100. So if we say less than 100, it might be a bit tight. So let us just do greater than 65,000. So anything that is greater than 65,000, then definitely it is high salary. Starting from 65,001 is high salary. That sounds crazy. So you can do else if annual income is greater than 65,000, then it's going to be what? I. Okay, that's that. So having done this, this is else. So instead of using this last condition, you can also just put I here. So that means anything that doesn't fulfill these two requirements, then it will be regarded as I. But it's kind of delicate, because if you have a number like, when you have an outlier, especially from in some cases, that's why I don't like to use it, except you are very sure that nothing will fall under the category, then you can use it. But in this case, this is fine. Okay, so now if I click on OK, you can see that our new colon has been created, which is known as what? Salary range. So if I bring it close to this annual colon, you can see that for 90,000 now, it says I. For 60,000, it says what? Average. For 70,000, it says I. Let me look for one low. For 20,000 and 30,000, it says what? Low. Do you get it now, guys? So this is exactly how you go about conditional colon in Power Query. Okay. So another thing I would like to show you is text formatting. We have different type of format. I showed you one earlier, although I was just trying to show you something, but let me show you again. So if I come to, I want to go do it under transform, and I come to my format, you can see you have different options here. You can apply lowercase, change everything to lowercase or uppercase, or capitalize each word, or trim or clean. So trimming removes unnecessary space beside, for some of us that have Excel experience, this definitely shouldn't sound new to us. But if you don't, trimming just takes away additional space on your on your strings. So let's say, for instance, I have I cannot edit this data here. So, but in Excel, let's say, for instance, I have this set of this Elizabeth. Now I have like a space coming before E, for instance. So if I apply trim on this column, it's going to take away any space like that. So that is what trim does. Now we have split. So under transform, it is split colon. But under add colon, it is what? Extract. But they are still doing the same thing. Okay, so just like we did text before delimiter earlier, if you check under transform, under split colon, it is what? By delimiter directly, just tells you by delimiter. Okay, so when you select this now, the delimiter can be anywhere. So it now asks you, are you splitting from the right or from the left? Do you get it now? So let me show you what I mean. So if you are splitting from the right now, that means instead of coming, look at this email address now. Instead of coming from left here, it would be bringing what? .com adventure. It will be coming from this side. That's from the right. Then it will stop at this. That same at. You understand? So that's pretty much something that you can always work around. So okay. So those are like text functions that you can also do some imputation. Let's say you want to replace value, for instance. Let's say, for instance, this one we have blanks, right? So you can replace these blanks that you have here. Okay, so how do you go about that? So it depends. If you want to if you come to transform, so you can see replace values, right? So you can replace any value, not just blanks, anything you can replace. But most times you replace errors or you replace blanks, because why would you need to replace a valid data? So most times, usually when you have a blank or you have an error, you want to replace them. So how do we do that? So just click on replace. So if I click on replace values for this particular one, now it's asking me, what do you want to find? This is similar to substitute function in Excel. So what are you looking for? So for instance, I'm looking for Mr. Full stop. This is just an example. Okay, let me write it in uppercase. Mr. Full stop. So I want to replace Mr. Full stop with mine. Just an example. So you can see by the time I perform this operation now, every Mr. that you have here will become mine. So if I click on OK, you can see everything become mine. Okay, so that's pretty much how you can, but this is not what I want to do. So I'm just going to click remove that step. Another option is to replace. If you click, instead of clicking on replace values, if I click on the arrow beside this replace, you have another option. The first option is to replace values, and the second one is replace errors. Okay, so let's assume we have errors in this data now. For instance, an error could be maybe a mistake in referencing or a mistake in formulas and all of that. We don't have any at the moment. So in case we do, once I click on replace error, it's not going to ask you what you want to replace again, because you already said you want to replace errors. So it's just going to ask you, what do you want to replace with? Then you can just select, okay, I want to replace all the errors with maybe blank or whatever. Then you just put it in there and click on OK, and it's going to do exactly the same thing. Okay, guys. So those are literally like the common text functions that you will be using that I feel I need to cover. I'm sure that by the time we start working on our project, I mean, bringing up other other tables, we'll still probably touch some. Okay, it will now be need-based now. Okay, because we feel we need to do them, then we'll do them. But literally, those are like the simple text formatting, our text functions that we have in Power Query. Okay, so that being said, we'll quickly go to date functions. Okay, quickly. So date functions. So date functions, again, they are usually like contextual menu, because you only access them when you are dealing with dates. Okay, you don't access them when you are dealing with any other type of formatting. So for instance, if I click on this first name now, you can see, and I go to my transform or add column, I have both. I have them. I have it on both of them. But by now, you know the difference between applying it under add column and applying it under transform. So if I go under my transform, for instance, and I click on date, I don't have anything here. They are not accessible for me. Why? Because this is not a date colon. But if I go to this birth date, for instance, okay, and I still click on date, I'm still going to get nothing. Why? Who can tell me why? I just need someone to tell me why we are not getting it. This is supposed to reveal something to us because this is date, but it's not showing us. Who can tell me why this is not showing us? Or let me put it this way, there is something wrong with this colon. Who can tell me what it is?
It's an alphabetic form, not in...
Perfect. So this is in a text format, so we need to take it to a date format. So first we need to change this here and change it to date. So what is the difference between date and time? So date and time is when you have a timestamp attached to your date. So let's say, for instance, you have this date and beside it you are going to have time, maybe like 14 o'clock, whatever. But in this case we just have date, so we're just going to use date. Bam, and we have our date. So now when we go to our date, you can see that we have some options here. Okay, so that will take us to the date functions that we have in our Excel, but we won't be doing it here. We would rather do it in the calendar table that we have here. Okay, so this calendar table, first thing I want us to do here is to rename it, of course. So come here, by now you should know how to rename. We rename this to calendar. Okay, so now these are the date. This is already formatted in date, so there's no need to do that. So let us access some date functions. Okay, so we have them under transform, we have them under add column. So let us check it. Let us check them out. So under transform, if I come here now and do anything, it's going to overwrite. You know that by now. So let us just do it under add column so we can see. So under my add column, we have so many things. So many. So the first one is age. So what does this mean? This is very useful to calculate. What it does is it checks the difference between now and this date. Okay, so in a scenario, let's say you collect in a form, you collect the date of birth of your customers, for instance, and you need their actual age, not like their date of birth. So rather than probably sending out the form again to fill their date, so you can just use this function, this, and click on age. So, and because we are doing it under add column, of course, it's creating this. So, but this is weird. This is 2,607, blah, 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 that. And why? Who can tell me why? Because it is in time. This has changed to a time format. Okay, so we need to change it to like an O number. Oh, it's still wrong. Oh, it's still wrong. I beg your pardon, there's something wrong. Hold on a second. I'm always eating this guy at. Okay, I'm coming. Age and okay, I think, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. So that's that. So this is, let me show you. I'm always eating that guy all the time. So if I click on age, so age gives me the timing. What it does is it calculates the time in seconds. Or I don't know whether it is in seconds or hours. Maybe let me say, I think hours, right? So it calculates the time in hours. So if I need to change it to years, right? We want years. We want to know the years between this day and today that we are. So you still under that colon. I don't want to do it under add colon again, because if I do it under add colon, it's going to create a new colon, just like you saw. So I'm going to go back to transform, and this time I will be choosing duration. So duration now helps you simplify this. It's kind of like aggregate it for you. So now I want it as years, not hours. So if I click on total years, so you can see now that the time, the number of years between 2015 January 1 and now is 7.1 years, which of course, if you round up, you know it is 7 years, which is definitely correct. Do you get it, guys? So that's like the first function I'm going to show you about date, which is like age. So it helps you calculate the difference between now. You are not going to input the age that you want to like subtract from. So it's going to be between now and that date that you have. That's that. Then if you need date only, I think this should, if you have like a date time stamp, just like the one I showed you earlier, this one, if you have like a date timestamp, then if you use this function, it's going to bring out only the dates, right? So this is pretty much easy. Then we have this year, and these are stuff that I use very, very well. So please, you're going to be using them. Even in this project, we're going to be using them, and I will tell you why we need them. So let me start with week. So let's assume that this particular date now, I want to know the start of the week. You know what the start of the week means? It means when this particular day now, when is the week starting? Okay, so let me print it out and you see the result. So if I click on date and I go to week and I click on start of week. So can you hear me? Is anyone asking? Okay, I thought someone was asking. So now when I click on start of the week, of course, this might not be clear, but if you go check your calendar, you realize that the start of the week, this week actually started on the 28th of December, 2014. Okay, so if you check your calendar, you would understand what I'm saying. So this week actually started on the 28th of December 2014. So just narrow it down like that. So when you want to plot your graphs, especially when you have to do with time series graph, you definitely find this very, very handy. I know it might not be so clear to you right now, but don't worry, we're going to be doing some line charts and you will definitely understand why these are really very important. So let me do another one, which is going to be like week of the year. So if I choose week of the year, for instance, it's going to tell me what week this particular day falls. So this is week 1 of that year, right? This is week 2 of that year, and so on and so forth. So that's the same thing you can do for year, you can do for month, you can do like month. What month does this fall? So this is like the first month, this is like everything year first month, this is February, this is second month, you know. And if you need month name as well, I think we have like something we call month name. Yeah, name of month. So you can have name of month, I have January. So these are pretty much transformation solved with dates. So these are like date transformation. So we have a lot of them. So I would leave it to you to just play with them. I think I'll be giving an assignment on these as well. Then earliest. So let me talk about earliest. So this earliest is an aggregate function. Now, what do I mean by aggregate? Now, because okay, let me chip this in. You might be hearing aggregate later in your journey, in your data analytics journey. So what aggregate simply means is it deals with different rows or different data. Let me put it that way. And it produces one result. Okay, guys. So it tampers with different data, but produces one result. That is an aggregate function. An example is sum. If I have 3 or 4 columns now, 3 or 4 rows or 3 or 4 cells of data, and I perform a sum function on all of them, what's going to happen? It's going to take all of them, right? Add them together and produce one result. That is an aggregate function. Okay, so any function, not just here, you probably find it in SQL, you find it in, this is like a mathematical thing. So any function that acts on different variables or different range of data and produces one result is known as an aggregate function. So this earliest and latest that we have here, they are aggregate functions. And what do I mean? Now, what this earliest does is it's going to check all of these rows, all of these dates that you have here, and it's going to bring the earliest. And the earliest is definitely what? 1. Right? So like the earliest date is definitely going to be 1, which in this case, I want to believe will be 1st of January 2015. So let's see. So if I click on it and I go to my date and I click on earliest, this is it. So you have just one value. So it's an aggregate function, and that is why you have it under transform. You will never have it under add colon, because add colon will never aggregate. It will only create a new column out of an existing column. But transform will always overwrite, just as you know. So what we saw here is an aggregation. So it basically picked out the earliest date from that column and returned this. Of course, don't be afraid. If you need to take this off, you just need to close it here and you are back to that. So same thing for latest. So if you check under date now, under add column, you will not find them here because you cannot find an aggregate function under add column. Okay, so it has to be on, it can only be under transform. So if I click on latest, the same thing. So this is like the latest date that you have there. Okay, guys, so those are pretty much the date functions that you would find in Andy. So today I think we've covered text functions, right? Like strings and all of that talking about, and we've covered date and time. Is there another thing? Okay, let me check. So I welcome questions now. I think I've been talking for about 40 minutes or thereabout. So if you have questions, please ask me now. So far, so good on what we've done. Okay, guys. No question? Really? So we have data gurus here. You guys do not tell me.
Not exactly, actually. I think not like I don't have questions, but you have actually given so much out right now. And for me, I'm more like 100% novice, and it's just starting to settle in. So maybe with the coming week, and I get to go over it again, I might have questions, and I can always reach out. But right now, there's a lot for me to just soak in, and it's
okay.
yeah.
I understand. Thank you for that feedback. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So any other person? Any other person? Okay. So just I think we've done quite we have a good start, if you ask me. We've talked about the transform and hard codon, which are basically things that you get to use when you come to your back query most times. You know, we've talked about extracting, we've talked about, talking about, excuse me, just let me add this. I didn't want to, I almost forgot. So talking about other aggregate functions, you can also find them under statistics. So let me just cover them once and for all, okay? So for instance, let's assume I want to get the total amount of the annual colon. Just as an example, okay? So if I come under my transform, now, if I click on anything that is not a number, it will not appear, right? These are like contextual menu. So if I click on my annual colon now, you see that we have this showing now, which is like statistics. So yeah, you can do something like sum, you know, by the time I click on sum, it's going to aggregate again, okay? Or I click on, where's that guy, where did he run to? Or I click on maybe minimum under my transform, under my statistics, minimum, maximum, average, you know, all of these things. Or even you want to add. So let's assume all the values here now. I want to add maybe 10 to everything, for instance. So if I add it, you can see everything has changed to 10,000, 90,000, 10. So please just play around it, okay? All of these things, they are very easy to understand, I assure you. But if there's something you still don't understand dealing with all of these functions, what I would do is I would probably write it on Discord, right? Functions that you should try to practice during the week. Just play with them with this data that you have here. Just play with them. Just play with them. But if there's something you don't understand how it works, just send it as a question on Discord. We'll address it together and everyone can learn from it that way. Okay, so that's that. Adding, multiplying, multiplying just works like addition. So like if I want to multiply maybe 10 by everything that you have there, it's just the same thing it's going to do. So now we are doing everything on that transform, and that's why it is just overwriting it. We are not doing it under add colon, right? So where you can, if I do it under add colon, you know what happens. Okay, so I don't need to ever emphasize on that. So yeah, pretty much modulo is like a remainder. It's like it's going to give you a remainder. So let's say I say modulo, let's say let me say okay, I don't want to use 100. So let me just say one, let me say two. Oh God, I'm confused. Okay, let me just say 2005, for instance. I don't want to believe every number here will divide 25. So apparently most of the numbers here divided to 5. So what modulo basically means is just says remainder. Okay, so if I have 5 modulo 2, it means 5 divided by 2, that's 2, right? Remainder 1. So the modulo 5 modulo 2 is 1. So it's just returning the remainder, that's all. Okay, I have never used it. I don't have a use case for it, so I don't have an example for that, but that's basically what this modulo means. Of course, we all know what percentage means. scientific. I've never used any of these things here, but when you look at it, you see square roots, you know what it means, you see logarithm. So these are pretty much things you can just walk around. Okay, guys. So I think with that, we are basically done for today. So I will just add to that assignment I gave, just a reminder, I gave an assignment on like the difference and similarities between Excel and Power BI. Then the second assignment is that you should create a new calendar table. Okay, so you create a new calendar table named okay, let me quickly show you that. Sorry. How do you create a new? So what you're going to do is you're going to duplicate this. You can see you have this, so you just duplicate it. Okay, duplicate it and give it a new name. I won't tell you how you name it. So you're going to rename this new calendar, and of course not this one, like the one we had, not this one, this one. I mean, import a fresh calendar table now, import a fresh one, the one that contains just this date. Then you are going to create the following fields. You are going to create day name, month name, start of the week, month of the week, start of the year. Okay, so those are your two assignments, and walk through all of those menu that you have there. I'll be sending you some of them that you should try to review, check them out, what they do, try to understand them, because we'll be using them more often as we go on. So with that, I think we have come to the end of today's session. So if you have any question, again, you can ask me, or we call it a day.
No, do we get to submit these other assignments?
Actually, both of them, I'm expecting both of them by Wednesday. I'll be sending another assignment. So please put your eyes on the Discord. I'll be sending another assignment, probably after you submit this one on Wednesday. But the deadline for this is Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, right? So make sure you submit these two. You know how to submit now.
Because when is the next session?
It's still Sunday. It's still Sunday.
Same time.
Yeah, same time. But I'll be giving you an assignment on Discord. Most likely you would need to load all of the other data. But I would just give you a very descriptive assignment that I know that you'll be able to do. So don't worry about that. Just to get you in shape and prepare you for the next session. Okay, but this is the first assignment, and you need to submit by Wednesday, 12 p.m.
So we most likely will take a screenshot of whatever result we get from the calendar, or we have to submit.
Yeah, exactly. You just take a screenshot of it, of probably what you have on your screen. Just show me, and that just post it on the Discord. You don't need to post this assignment on Twitter. It's only this one, this difference that you need. That if you want, you can just say something about the difference and just tag me on Twitter. That's all, if you want. But for this one, just snap it and share on Discord. Okay. So I did not close it. So if you want to close your Power Query, just come here. So we have three options. You have close and apply. You have apply. You have. If you just close, that means everything that you've done since, it will not be applied. So most times you definitely have to do close and apply. So it's going to apply every changes that we've done, and it's going to close it. So by the time it closes it, we are back to the main Power BI area, and you can see it's loading. Our data is loaded. So now if I go to my table view, you can see it's no longer empty, because now we have data, so you can just see all of it. So you can see this field here. These are all the data that I uploaded in. So you can see them, everything is here in our data view. All right. And even in your modeling view now, you have it, so you can perform your modeling, but that will be in the next class, most likely. So thank you so much, guys. It was nice having you all. And if you have any questions, just chat me up on, not DM, just post it on the Power BI group on Discord, and myself or every other moderator will be able to answer your questions. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. And the recording will also be posted on YouTube, so just stay tuned for that. I think Jamal will post it, and will also be shared on the group. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.